Hello, Legionnaires, and welcome to some Rando RPG livestream. Tonight, our panel of Dungeon Masters, Game Masters, referees, storytellers, and players will share their diverse tabletop role-playing game experiences to provide ideas, suggestions, and possibly even some advice for your tabletop RPG sessions. Let's get started. All right, welcome to some Rando RPG livestream. I am John Max Liauschlo, your host, and I'm truly grateful that you're with us for tonight's livestream discussion on the future of tabletop RPGs. That's right, we are going to be prognosticators, seers, prophets, or charlatans and hucksters. I don't know, but we'll figure that out as time goes on here, and we're going to talk about what we believe the future of tabletop role-playing is. And I sincerely hope you enjoy the conversation. So what do we do here on some Rando RPG live stream? Well, in segments 1 through 4, we discuss topics surrounding the tabletop role-playing game hobby with an emphasis on individual experiences, desires, and expectations. In tonight's 4 segments on the future of tabletop RPGs, we hope to provide ideas and suggestions and food for thought for your future when we're all, connected to Neuralink, tabletop RPG sessions. And then in segment 5, we let our hair down, just talk about nerd issues of interest. If we have a giveaway, it'll be during segment 5 where we'll determine the winner. Please consider supporting Legion of Myth through the links in the live stream's description. YouTube takes 30%, Twitch takes 50% of your hard-earned money, while Rumble, PayPal, Streamlabs, and Ko-Fi take between 0 and 5% of your donations. As always, Rumble rants and super chats less than $20 I will read at the end of the segment. $20 or more, I will interrupt the segment to read your rant or chat as immediately as I can. You okay? And $50 or more, I will take a drink in your name, and you can force the panel to answer any tabletop RPG-related question of your choice right then and there. Just one question. Don't try to give me an 8-parter. And if we make $100 or more in Super Chats and Rumble Rants, there will be a 250. I got to cap that at some point. At some point, it's going to get crazy. But we're at $250 Palladium Books or drive-through RPG gift card giveaway during segment 5. So that's right. If we make $100, I'm somehow giving away $250. I don't know how that math works. I don't know how I'm supposed to make money doing this live stream, but there you go. That's what it is for today. Legion of Myth YouTube members, as well as tonight's Super Chatters and Rumble Ranters, have the opportunity to win, but you must be watching the time of the giveaway to claim your victory, else it rolls over to next week. And I got to tell, what's his name here? Full Metal Dragon, you got lucky, sir. I forgot to do it yesterday, so you are on the list for today. I had to do it right before the show started because I completely forgot. All right, don't forget that Legion Myth moderators will time out or even ban people who attack any panelist or a chatter. Attack the argument, not the person, and keep your various social media beefs off my show. And with that, please like this YouTube or StreamYard. Can you put that stuff up when I click it? My God, please like this video and subscribe to all of the panelist channels found in the description. And thank you for your time and support. So let's get started. With all that out of the way, joining me tonight is, for the first time on this type of show, he's been with us before, but coming over from Rumble, visiting us over on the YouTube side, although I'm streaming on Rumble as well, we have Patty Cakes there. Tell us who you are, what content or products you create, and what is your tabletop RPG experience?
Hello, everybody. I'm some rando that's been playing TTRPGs since I was a wee lad. I create tabletop war games as well as adventures primarily for Wretched and Chalt, but I'll be expanding that soon. You'll also know my artwork in such important pieces as The Shucked Oyster, which has achieved maximum success on Kickstarter. And you can find me on Rumble, over at Patty's Parlor Games, and on Twitter at Patty O Cakes.
All right, and beneath Patty O Cakes there, we have Timothy Farrelly. As always, who are you? What content or products you create, and what is your tabletop RPG experience?
Hello, I'm Timothy Farrelly. I'm the host of Character Dice, where we make characters, so you don't have to. I just make Palladium fantasy characters for people to use on their tables. And my experience, all kinds of games for the last 20 plus years.
Okay, and next to him, we have Malachi back again. He's becoming kind of a regular here. We might have to kick him off for a little bit.
Okay.
Wait a minute, are you here next week?
Are you What's next week?
Oh no, you're not here because I have all. Never mind, you're not here next week. Next week's with Sean and yeah. So anyway, Malachi, who are you? What content or products do you create, and what is your tabletop RPG experience?
Malachi, I've been in the hobby since about the early '90s. Started off with D&D, played just about anything, and I got my Substack, Malachi's Megaversal Musings, where I've just been on a tear of just getting essays out, really. I got one I'm finishing up about being on the spectrum and in the hobby.
Okay. It's a good question. Too bad it's not for tonight. I do not go to the Palladium Books forums because they're toxic and everybody hates us over there. But I don't care. By everyone, I mean not Sean and Kevin. I mean the weirdos that actually post over there. Oh, right. So, Pat, I'm going to elbow you in the face if you keep doing that. I don't want to elbow you in the face. All right. So with all that out of the way, let us get to our first topic for tonight. That is right. Tonight we're going to talk about what we believe somehow, some way, is the future of tabletop RPGs. And for this first segment, we're going to be talking about technology and tabletop gaming. So right off the bat, we are going to mess with the new guy. That's right, Patty. What specific online tools or applications have you integrated into your gaming sessions, and how have they impacted gameplay?
So I'm pretty new to Roll20. We started using my brother started running games using Roll20 3.5. And now recently we've been playing the Iron Kingdoms role-playing game using Roll20. That's new because up until recently, I never played online. Me and my brothers, we picked up Advanced Crimson Dragon Slayer by Vengeance Satanis, and I picked up the Chalt book, and I was running Chalt Adventures over Facebook Messenger. And I think I had set up a camera. I have these terrain boards that I use that were pretty easy to tell. I just use big old squares, and that was my virtual tabletop for the longest time. Roll20 is interesting. We get caught up a lot on, who's in, who's joined, what chat functions do you need to use to get dice to roll. I introduced my son, who is 7, to the Roll20 program, and he's picking it up pretty fast, but I guess that's how that goes. And for a short little while, I was actually privileged enough to try out a new proprietary virtual tabletop called Tabletop. It was TABYLTOP.
Because when you put a Y in, it becomes cool.
Yeah, exactly. And that one was actually, I was really fond of that one. Unfortunately, they launched their Kickstarter as a murmur, and from what I can tell in their Discord is that they're a little upset it wasn't as popular. I think that they would have been really great if they waited to launch it until the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons comes out. But I don't know. My personal biggest barrier for using Tabletop, which is a lot like Roll20, was making the digital maps. That was pretty time consuming, getting it loaded into the program. So I am pretty Spartan when it comes to my tabletop role playing game setup when I'm running it, and then I'm getting more familiar by the week goes by. Using stuff like Roll20 and such. So
you said that you're a war gamer, so I'm assuming that maps are pretty important to you. I know the games that I've been in online, luckily I haven't had to deal with that nonsense, because I don't even like battle maps in an in-person game. That's just my taste. But like Malachi, he's in the game that Bear is running, and for us, for our style of play, it works perfectly without it. So all this stuff, when people are complaining about Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds and Foundry and Alchemy and all this stuff, I'm like, ha ha. No, that's not my future.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could do without. I do appreciate the fact that there's a map there, but I think that there's a closer to analog way of being able to achieve that same thing. And I'm working on doing something similar to that for my own channel, because it would be really cool to play like my own tabletop skirmish game is called Mutants, and it uses grid movement kind of like that. Not 1-inch squares, but I use 3-inch cubes. So it's a lot easier to see from a distance. You're not counting each square. You're just moving your guy by the zone, more or less. That's how fancy I like to get.
Okay. So since you're not as deep into some of those tabletop or virtual tabletops as others, I'll ask your follow-up in a different way. In terms of, we'll say, like dice rollers? Do you find that those are helpful at a table, or are you just, I need that tactile?
I'm not married to the tactile sense. I played a game over Discord, and there was no cameras, and it was actually one of the first times I'd ever played with people I've never met before. And the rolling function on Discord was pretty straightforward, and being able to trust what people rolled because you could see it in real time was really nice. I've been able to play Horde Wars by DM Blackwall on his Gilded channel a couple of times, and you can hear people rolling the dice on the table. And I mean, you can only assume that people are telling the truth for what they roll. But one of the things that I do think is a mercy insofar as virtual tabletops are those virtual dice rollers that keep everyone honest. Again, to bring up that tabletop program, one of the things that I was actually really sad about losing was they had a physics-based dice roller that was called DD dice or 3D dice. And when you would put in what you were rolling, it would actually roll. It was a program that used physics-weighted virtual dice, and they would roll across the screen.
So basically, it made the random seed out of whatever number you put in for the.
Pretty much. I mean,
yeah,
it had fully rendered 3D dice, and you got to watch them roll across the screen and like bounce off the corners of the screen and such.
I gotcha.
So that I think that really is meeting halfway between the physical dice roller and the digital era.
Okay. Well, let's jump on down to Timothy down there. I'm going to ask you the same question as normal. What specific online tools or applications have you integrated into your gaming sessions, and how have they impacted gameplay?
Currently, I'm using Discord to run a couple of games and to partake in a couple of games. In that regards, we don't use any dice roller add-ons for Discord. We do trust each other and roll the dice and give our results. When I make my characters, I use the Palladium character Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
I also use a website called rolladie.net, and I display those throughout the
rolladie.net. I have not heard of that one.
Yeah, it's bare bones, not much to it, but it works. Yeah, it allows me to roll all my stat dice at once, and I just plug them in. And that way, it's for making the videos and making character creation. And especially the Excel spreadsheet helps out a lot. I've used D&D Beyond, and when it first came out, I loved it. Being able to make the characters quickly, that was great. They're easily accessible. Being able to click on what the attacks or the skills and have it roll the dice right then and there, including all your bonuses, very useful. I love doing stuff like that. So VTTs, yeah, I do enjoy them quite a bit. Am I married to them? Not entirely, depending on the situation. The hardest part really is convincing certain individuals to do it, and for various reasons, one of which is like, I sit in front of a computer for 8 hours a day. Yeah, so do I. Come on. You want a game or not? So
my argument to that would be I just don't think they're necessary. I don't think they're necessary at all in any way, shape, or form, unless you're playing a game that has tactical elements in it. With that, I'm not disparaging how somebody else is playing. I just that would be my rebut to somebody who's like, no, you need to use it. No, I actually don't. I can run the game without it. I do it in person. I can do it online as well.
But when you have a player that's or a personal friend, you've played for years and years and years, and then they move 2-3 hours away, then yeah.
I blame them for all of our bad games.
But if you want to continue with them, you're going to have to get online somehow. So
yeah,
that's true. All right. You actually answered the follow-up I was going to give you, so I'm going to skip and go over to Malachi.
Okay.
Malachi. By the way, for folks who are like, this isn't on the future, this talks like what we're doing now. I know we have to establish a background, and then we'll dive into the future in the upcoming segments.
Got to make sure we're notified.
So, Malachi, what specific online tools or applications have you integrated into your gaming sessions, and how have they impacted gameplay?
Well, I've done gaming on Discord, on Roll20, and like this, streaming. And I have found that for me personally, because I'm on the spectrum, I need a camera. I can't do just voice. I gotta have the camera. I was running a 5e game at my local gaming store, and when the one variant of COVID hit, they changed the hours in the mall it's in. So we ended up going online for a little bit using Roll20, and I think for me it's too much for running a game, having to get that map, get the tokens made. When at the table, if I needed something, I had my wet erase mat. I could just draw something down quick, slap whatever minis we got, and we can figure it out that way if we need to. We used the die rollers. That was great with the character sheets. One click and you get your result. But there's just nothing like actual rolling a dice, shaking in your hand, hitting that tray or the table. But Fantasy Flight makes dice rolling apps for their games, which that is one case where I think I would be all right with using the app because they're specialty dice.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy multiple sets. You can buy one app. You have unlimited dice.
That makes sense.
Pretty much it for me.
So I'm asking this for everybody because I kind of listened to some things that you're all saying. Yeah, I actually listened. Isn't that weird?
You say something?
Right? Discord. How do I say this? I don't know many people who don't play games on Discord, if they play online, that is. Even with all the Roll20s and Fantasy Grounds, by the way, I'm going to say this: don't use Roll20; they hate you. But using most of the people I know use Foundry. I think that is the best bang for buck in my estimation because it's really simple to use. A lot of companies make what they called the VT, whatever it's called for the VTTs for them. But Discord just seems to be the way modules. Is that what they're called? Okay. Yeah. Discord just seems to be the way that most of the people I know play, especially when, like what Timothy Frelly said. So I work around a lot of military, right? So they go to basic training together, or they were stationed at their first or second duty station together. They spread apart, but they want to continue the campaign. They just continue doing it on Discord. I would say that Discord is limited in its scope when it comes to what you'd really want from a tabletop RPG. So my question to you guys is couple-fold. In terms of the future, do you think that there are tools in place that are coming down the pipe, or that you would really want to beg for to come down the pipe that would allow even more Discord play? Or do you really think that they're just either use Discord or use a VTT because it has all the tools for you there?
What I see going on is that Roll20, their video and what?
Nothing.
Okay, I got it. Their video and their voice is not as good as Discord. When people,
to be fair, Roll20 is old. That architecture for Roll20 is old.
Yeah, from what I've heard from people that play online a lot is they'll use Discord for chat and video. They'll do everything else in Roll20.
Okay.
Here's what the biggest problem is that the bandwidth. Your video is going to require a lot of bandwidth. And you add the audio along with it. Then you throw the tabletop in there with all the features that are there, because there are VTTs out there that include sound, that include 3D effects. That bandwidth is starting to go up and up and up, and especially in the States, not everybody has gig connections. So having two apps, one for video, one for audio, one for the VTT, that's going to be the way to do it.
And you got Wizards with their VTT coming out, and it's Unreal Engine 4. Some people are gonna have to buy a new computer to run that because of the graphics power in it.
And Discord is currently capable of running on a wide variety of platforms: phones, desktops, laptops, Xbox, PlayStation. It's already got a cross-platform compatibility that if your friends, if that's all I've got a friend, his primary method of joining is on his Xbox.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm waiting to see with Wizards is what their platforms are going to be. Are they just going to be PC, or are they going to be on the PS5 and the Series X?
That's probably going to be PC, and I'm not holding.
Yeah.
I'm not holding any breath out on that. They've made
I
their
hate
statements,
to
and I'm gone.
Well, I'm PC Master Race, so I don't care.
But what I'm thinking is, if they wanted to get their VTT on as many players as possible, you're going to have to hit that.
No, because Xbox and Sony will want money, and they don't want to give that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You look at the success with BG3, which Baldur's Gate 3, which is what they're basing the new proprietary software off of. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's all in house. Baldur's Gate 3 was all done by Larian. I think
I had seen snippets of their they did like that 50-year live play with some of the voice actors, and it looked like they were using stills not from Baldur's Gate, but they looked like they were using stills from a software that was like emulating a Baldur's Gate kind of look.
Maybe. I haven't seen anything in a while, not since that one thing they did early on. Where they had the people come in, play at the table on laptops.
Yes.
As much as I don't want to have this conversation, this is also, this is very, very pertinent when it comes to the future of gaming. That's something that bothers me. Like, between people not reading rule books now because they're too long, just give me the Cliff's Notes. People can't page through books. They have to control F, or it takes too long. People bringing their computers at their table with all their distractions and so forth. There's a couple of chats that I've seen come by where it's like, I'm an asshole at the table. Get all that crap off the table, but I need it. No, you don't. Have a piece of paper. Well, then I have to write it down there, put it on my laptop anyway. I don't care.
No problem.
The reason is because it's less distractions. People handing phones around, watching the cat videos during the game. I wasn't running that one. I was playing in that one. It was still annoying. No, I want all that crap gone. And so that's going to lead to the next thing. By the way, if you still had something to say about what we were talking about before, that's fine. But I want to add in the D&D Beyond thing, because conceptually, I really like the idea of D&D Beyond. I used it for the 5e game that I was in. And for somebody like me who'd been playing for, at that time, 35 years, I love the idea. I could click a heal button and it changed all my stuff. That's great. But I also think it has the flip side of it, where new people use it as a crutch and they don't understand exactly what rule that just affected, if you know what I'm saying. Like, okay, heal up with your short rest. Oh, I just push the button. No. How do you heal up during your short rest? How do you heal up during your long rest? What does this potion do for you? I don't know. I just clicked the button. No. You should know how the game works, if not to the dotted I and cross T, at least conceptually. So I'm very torn on things like D&D Beyond, especially going forward in the future, where they're only doing online gaming, basically. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean,
if I can open up. I mean, if we go back to Neverwinter Nights as the video game, which was, when it came out for me, you could say it was my first foray into digital gaming. If you guys are familiar with that computer RPG, Neverwinter Nights, I played on a PvP roleplay server for a long time.
Oh man, you'd have been great for Legion of Myth back in the day.
Right. And pretty beloved character. I mean, it was back when I was in middle school going on into high school, and thank goodness we didn't use voice chat and I was able to text chat. Nobody knew that I was as young as I was, but take that however you will. But up until BG3, I don't think that we had seen another video game that had come around that really emulated the rules that well. And even so, it's not like, I think at that time, there was still a lot more forums about people, playing by post or playing on the forums rather than using Neverwinter Nights, which was basically tabletop simulator for 3.0 Dungeons and Dragons. It didn't take over then, and it doesn't look like it's taking over now.
Yeah, and yeah, they actually make adventures and everything.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do it. Maybe I played once or twice. I know I played once or twice, but Legionmyth used to have a little group in there, and they would make their adventures and they play them. They'd actually stream other people's adventures too to see how good they were.
Yeah, I remember playing. I remember one where it was all the XP you got was from moving the story forward. There was none for combat.
Oh wow, yeah.
Everybody sing "Happy Birthday" to Cody.
Happy birthday, Cody.
Happy birthday, Cody. Happy birthday, Cody. Happy birthday, Cody. Okay.
He's gonna regret coming here now.
Yep.
Diddy Beyond, when it first came out, I loved it, and I subscribed to it. I went full on into it because I thought it was great, and it did everything I wanted, and as it got better, and unfortunately, with what it's just they went because you could get what you needed. You need a race, you can just buy the race and use it. You weren't.
I'm 100% with you on that. I did that because I don't own. Yeah. Well, I don't anymore own 5 ebooks, but I didn't have 5 ebooks at that point, and the character I was playing was a Hexblade Warlock. So I got the 5e core, whatever, and then I bought just the Hexblade. And that's all I needed. I didn't have to buy an entire book. Again, it worked for me because I understood the process of playing a role-playing game. I've been playing forever. And while 5e isn't my thing, I understood the rules. I knew what was going on. I knew how to play. But I don't know. It's part of that to me seems to be too much of a crutch. It's like it stops people from trying to learn the game, if that makes sense.
I have not seen that from my limited experience with it. I've only really know one person that when they started with D&D Beyond, but he can still play without that.
Sure.
I was in a one shot with them, and he had a piece of paper with his character on it. And the one downside of this reliance on D&D Beyond is, now Mage's Musing talked about this one time. He was running a 5e game in the store. Everybody was on D&D Beyond, and the store lost internet.
Rough.
Yeah.
So, you know what's funny? It's funny you say that. Oh my God, I didn't even think about this. Back in the day when we would lose power, what would we go do? We'd play D&D.
Yeah.
Light some candles, grab the dice, and just play some D&D. Now they'd be like, my phone's not working. My tablet's not working.
I remember when I was running third edition game, we were at my girlfriend's place in the kitchen. The lights had gone out. We had lit candles, and we were sitting around the table playing D&D.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about on this one before we move to the next question? Anything left on the table about? I already forgot the question. That's lovely. Great host.
Technology.
Specific online tools or applications you've integrated into your gaming sessions.
Yeah. One other thing I had integrated is more using the stuff programs from behind the scenes like World Grapper to help me map and stuff.
Oh,
okay.
Nice. I to just kind of tackle on to that other stuff is using the VTT, and I actually use Rumble Studio to get all the players into the chat because it's easy to present. It's kind of like StreamYard. Right. Out there, and if anyone wants to present their screen, you can. And then
things like Zoom. Zoom has a little bit of delay to it, so I don't think so. For me, StreamYard's the best. Now, Rumble Studio, I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm also not in the little beta thing. But that is something I'm keeping my eye on. But yeah, somebody in chat mentioned Google Hangouts earlier. I know a lot of people used to play on Google Hangouts because it didn't have the delay. So yeah, a lot of these tools are in place. I think they are helpful. They can be helpful. I also think that we have to be careful because they can also become a crutch, and people forget can't play, Google Hangouts isn't working. It's like, yes, you can.
Right.
But let's hit some of this chat here, and then we'll move on to the next question. Now, I didn't get any super chats, but there were a couple of things I did want to mention. So Full Metal Dragon became a new member. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Noijatat says, happy belated birthday, Max. Yes, my birthday was yesterday. That's right. Napoleon was born on my birthday, not the other way around. Napoleon was born on my birthday. So I did have an awesome one. Anytime that I'm basically left alone and I can just do my own thing and I don't have to, go here, go there. I mean, okay, I had to go to work. That sucked, but it was a good birthday. So, and for all the people giving GM Cody wishes in chat, yes, his birthday is today. If you're watching this a month from now, my birthday's for last month. So moving on. So Reactionary Principle Gaming with Mr. Max Boivin says, oh, camera is essential. It cuts down on the crosstalk so much. I cannot agree more. I was in that Pathfinder 2 game with the GM Fritz, and I love GM Fritz as a game master. I think he's fucking excellent. Pardon my cursing, but I think he's awesome. But unfortunately, it was a horrible game, and they didn't want to be on camera, and it did cause problems. You couldn't see facial expressions. You couldn't see just those nuances that come with it. I do believe that being on camera is a must as well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I need it so I can help with my role playing.
It depends on the table. My groups were fine.
Yeah, playing with my son and possibly streaming those games in the future, I didn't see it a good idea to be streaming him at his age with his face. So I think it like most things, it depends on your table more than anything else, and you got to be able to adjust based off of that rather.
Yeah,
all
it all depends on the table.
RPG Exile says WotC's going on all platforms.
If I'm wrong, great, but
I don't know.
Seem like it.
I just want to put that up there in case, we're prognosticating the future right now. So we might be right, we might be wrong. Are we prophets or are we hucksters? We'll find out in a couple of years.
Let's get more money.
Shark says, I absolutely prefer face-to-face gaming at the table. Online gaming is only good when no other option is available. And the people who have the opposite opinion, I literally don't understand. Again, you play how you want at your table, but I don't understand. You're like, well, playing at a table and playing online is the same thing. The hell it is.
It's not.
I've done both. I've done both quite a bit, unfortunately. And no, in person is a way different and better dynamic. But again, thoughts you guys have?
Face-to-face is ideal. That is the best way of doing it.
I came across an account on Twitter, and I'll have to find them, but I think it was in one of Harmony Ginger's threads where this guy said that he had never played a face-to-face game before. And it's one of those things where it's like when you take a look at it and you're like, holy crap, like people.
Somebody who needs a hug.
Yeah, you're like, people who are born after 9/11 are voting. You know what I mean? We're at this point where it's like there are people who've never sat at a physical table and played Dungeons and Dragons and have claimed to have played the game and experienced it. And what's going to be really weird is that number of people increasing and how people who are making games now are going to have to really contend with. There are going to be people who just don't go outside and play.
Kick them out.
Yeah.
I will actually say here for the record, gatekeep them.
Right.
I mean, I can see that happening, especially if you got into the hobby during lockdowns.
Yes.
Main way you could play, and if you just kept rolling with that,
Yes. No. And it's the Jetsons form of tabletop RPG. I mean, it's the Jetsons form of being a doctor. That's what it is.
Who's got talking in the background?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry, did that. And then Teapot Spot says people aren't. I cannot read. People aren't even really learning the rules anymore. They let the VTT tell them how the game works. Friend computer. That's right. You do not want Alpha Complex running your game for you because happiness is mandatory. It just doesn't have to be yours.
Archie, 3 at your table.
Or Archie 3, that's another one. He was going with the paranoia reference, so I piggybacked on that one. But yeah, Archie 3 is another one. Again, I'm torn on this because I remember Crafty and Omen Owl, they'd go back and forth between the idea of like in Conan, the 2D20 version of it, there's an online character creator. And if I remember correctly, Omen Owl was all like, no, get them in the character creator. Don't waste your time trying to make and I'm paraphrasing, this might not be exact his train of thought, but just just get them in and they can learn the game as they're playing. Where Crafty's like, no, at least for your first couple of characters, you must make them on your own so you understand what you're doing. I'm 100% in Crafty's camp on that one. I'm not saying that these tools aren't good, but I do think that they bring about potential laziness to not learn the game and put the onus on somebody else.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But that's the culture we live in. I was doing my live stream last night, and there's a new Ginny D on the block, I guess, and that was her most recent video that somebody subjected me to. And I had to go and subject more people to it, where she's like, why do I tell people to go watch Roll20 before they play games with me? And I'm like,
because you hate the hobby,
right? And what I had said back then was like, oh yeah, you want to play role-playing games with us? Okay, so here's your book. We'll meet next week. Like, and if that doesn't work, let me lend you my PDF. Just make sure you don't spill beer and cheese sauce on it. Right?
Yeah, I got nothing to add to that. I think that's a good final point on this. I think it's time to move on to the next question, which we'll start with Timothy Frelli. So we've talked about what you guys use right now.
I need it clean by tomorrow.
Okay, I'll get on that. How do you foresee emerging technologies like VR or AR shaping the future of TTRPGs? I think that's supposed to be AI. What's AR? I know VR is virtual reality. Alternate reality.
Alternate reality.
Or augmented? Okay.
Augmented.
Okay.
So AR and VR definitely is a niche tool. I could see AR getting built into game systems. People, could be cheap apps that are made to display little icons on the table. That would be kind of cool. That would be kind of fun. I could see that. VR, the headsets have got to get popular. They got to get cheaper. They got to get better. And right now, that's hard. And that's not for at least 5 to 10 years. I don't see that happening for VR right now. The AI is going to be tough because that's going to require because AI, you've got to have a lot of control over it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with some really scary, absolute garbage of anything. Campaigns are going to be absolute garbage. Characters are going to be absolute garbage. So that's AI, maybe for ideas at most. I really don't see a lot of good with AI at this point because they're so wild, they're so uncontrolled, and they're corrupted so easily.
What do you think it would take in the future for AI to become more viable as a game master or even another player sitting at the table that maybe you don't realize is AI?
If I could make my own AI, when I can make my own AI, we're on the verge of being able to do that. And then I can, build it out myself, train it myself. Then I could see AI becoming a little bit more beneficial because then I'm creating something that knows how I think, that can maybe help me out when I'm having a problem, especially if I'm making an adventure. It's like, oh, I'm stuck here. How do I get to here? AI can probably help out in that regards. Once it becomes more householdish, personalized, things of that nature.
Okay. Malachi, how do you foresee emerging technologies like VR or AR shaping the future of tabletop RPGs?
I'll say I think Timothy hit the AR and the VR stuff pretty good. I want to focus on the AI. And Wizards from a video with Ben Riggs, the author of Slaying the Dragon, he was talking about how Wizards really wants to focus on the AI to the point where he's saying his theory is that we're going to have AI dungeon masters and even AI players. I think that in general is a bad move for the hobby. I don't see this hobby with just yourself and an AI. It's essentially a video game. AI
even if it can replicate human emotions and human responses, if it gets to that point.
Yes.
Okay.
because we are already seeing issues with AI in other areas of people's lives, like to the point where you can have an AI girlfriend instead of a real one. We are getting to that precipice with AI where I think we as a society and the socializing as a society, we could fall over that edge and just take a nosedive, and it would not be good. With that, I don't think that AI replacing game masters or players is a good thing in the hobby. Maybe like to help you with stuff, like if you're running a game, get your ideas. I've heard people having AI up to help come up with stuff real quick, like to for what a king has to say to knight you or something like that.
I don't use AI for gaming, but I do use it a lot in the background for, I mean, even things like my videos and so forth. So I could see that assisting there if it, if you plug in the question or the prompt quick enough. Otherwise, you're like, hold on. All right, the king says, and that would annoy the crap out of me. But so how would you balance traditional in-person elements with digital tools in say a hybrid group?
One of the things that I was really
hold on, Patty. This is a follow-up from Malachi.
okay.
Hold on to that though, if you have thoughts, because in the open segment, you can come back to this.
I think like I could see like augmented reality actually being at the table and kind of replacing some of the things like minis and your battle mat and stuff.
So kind of like the Star Wars chess game.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, just like I think, like I said, AI just as an assistant more than anything. I don't think it should replace.
Okay.
That just gets into scary territory for me.
Don't fear the future, man. The robot overlords will be your friend.
I've heard stuff from AI. Actual AI.
Talk to me in segment 5. Write this down. Write this down as a note. Talk to me in segment 5 when we're kind of off the stuff that will go public about AI. Remember, I work for.
But what I will say is, if anything, we know that the companies like WotC will find a way to monetize that AI. Make you pay to have that DM, or like, oh, you can do this adventure, but if you want to do this adventure, you gotta buy this one for it. Okay, that's it.
All right, Patty.
Yes.
I got to ask you the primary question first, which is how do you foresee emerging technologies like VR or AR shaping the future of tabletop RPGs?
I think about where we've come from already. We've already have a procedurally generated random dungeon generator that a lot of DMs use already, as well as name generators and such. Having an AI tool that can run through a multitude of random tables would be very helpful. Being able to plug in source books and saying, hey, we're in this geographic area of Greyhawk. What are the random tables associated with these hexes here? And then having an AI be able to roll those. And it kind of goes back into that conversation we were having earlier about all these AI tools are really going to do is they're going to be a crutch that people are going to they're going to rely on too heavy. And when it's not there, they're just going to play something else. Which is fine, because that in itself is its own gatekeeper. That pendulum is going to swing so far that the people who can't operate without, when it's too inconvenient to do so, then they just fall off. But I think it's interesting to live in a world where you can date an AI girlfriend who is also your DM.
Hey, that's how I get extra experience points.
Yeah, that's how I get.
If you want the spicy pixel, you gotta pay for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like any girlfriend.
Tabletop again. What I was going to say earlier was that program that didn't launch as well as they thought it would. It had an AI program that would listen to the game session and would create notes. So if you said you meet a barkeeper and his name is Jace, it would make an entry for that. And every time Jace is said throughout the session, it'll keep notes, which I think is extremely helpful. You know what I mean? That's a tool that doesn't help you play the game, but it helps you keep track of what's happened in the past so you can remain consistent. And especially would be helpful for people who like to house rule things, to maintain consistency with house ruling, even though I'm not a big fan of that.
You know what? I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, I for one don't like listening to the recording of my own voice, so I would definitely.
If it helps, it wasn't a recording of your own voice. It would take virtual notes, which might also help a lot of those story DM types. You know, that way they don't have to take the notes themselves and they can write their book at a later date.
All right, I'm going to open this question up to everybody. Just kind of, this is going to be the follow-up, but it's for everybody because I don't know what your experience is. By the way, real quickly before I do this, I'm seeing a lot of new names in the chat today. First of all, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you all. I hope you enjoy. You know, we're gonna have 4 segments. It's gonna be going on for about 3-ish hours. Well, my guess is that's about how long most of these live streams go on for. 8 questions, 4 hours. So, appreciate you being here. I was gonna say more, but I got to get back to this. Describe a time when technology significantly enhanced or detracted from one of your gaming sessions, and what caused it and what was the result. And this is for anybody, but Patty, if you want to jump in, since it's technically your follow-up question, you can start. Or
sure. Again, for me in running my own games, I'm an electrician's apprentice. I do that full time. I'm on the historical preservation commission. I have my own Rumble channel. I have this and I have all that. So carving out time to load a VTT with assets was one of my biggest barriers to play. And it's slowly becoming one of my brother's biggest barriers to play too. As far as helping out, just the advent of being able to voice chat with people over the internet, and especially with people that I'm not like familial relationship with, insofar as my brothers being able to pick up other friends that I've met with across deployments and being stationed in places, having the ability just to voice chat with them on, not a phone line, and being able to take notes like that has been a big boon. The game demands to be played. So if you have to play over the phone or play by post, I think it's good that it's just being played at all.
I remember 15-minute morale calls once per month when I was in Korea. Great times. That wouldn't have made a good game. No. Either Malachi or Timothy, either you have a time when technology either significantly enhanced or detracted from a gaming session?
Whenever you're trying to incorporate a new VTT or when you're trying a new VTT, and it also depends on the comfortability level of your players. If you've got players that are focused nerds, geeks, and they love tech, they're behind a computer 8 hours a day, they pick it up easier. You got people that aren't necessarily slinging kegs or digging ditches. It takes them a little bit longer to pick up, and you've got to keep that in mind.
Okay, Malachi? Stop talking with Lord Mateus and pay attention to the stream.
Star-crossed lover. I think for me, the big detriment that I've had was just getting everything set up on the DM side for VTT, getting the maps, tokens, and all that. And if I were to do it again, I would not bother. I would not. I just go theater of the mind all the way.
Okay.
Yeah, theater of mind there is a trick to it where you've got to be really good at being able to express that so that you're not always coming, wait a minute, is this there? Oh, hey, is this other thing going on? Hey, is this, and I don't know if that's every DM can actually do that. I mean, I think some need miniatures. I found in my experience, maybe I'm not perfect. Maybe I'm just a hybrid in every sense of the word, but I like having not a battle map, but an abstract map. It really does help. So like on a platform like this, I just throw up like a whiteboard. It's okay. Yeah. Here's the hills. This is where you guys are, blah, 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 and draw it out. And by the time everything's done, you can't figure out what the hell is going on because I have arrows going this way and then X's moving up to here because that's where you were, but now you're here, whatever. But it's abstract because I can do a pretty good job of getting the scene in your head, but my perfectionist nature in me will say, well, it's not perfect, so let me show at least a representation of it.
Yeah, I believe it or not, all the 5e guys I've played with preferred theater of the mind.
And 5e, to be fair, lent to that better than 4 and 3, I think.
Yeah, 4 was video games, but it depends on really that again depends on the group. I used to run a game, and all I did was modules. It was in person, but even that, handouts and things like that. So even being able to provide handouts would be a great benefit. And in our Discord game, we post pictures, quadrant maps. There's still something that's getting presented to the players. We just put in a chat. You got to find the method that you're most comfortable with. And
sure,
VTT can give you a much bigger picture, but it's just how comfortable you're with it.
For those who don't get the reference, he's absolutely right. My maps would end up looking like John Madden in the 1980s and 90s trying to describe a play. That was good. I like that, sir. All right. Well, anything left on the table from this first segment before we jump into the second segment about emerging technologies of virtual reality or applications of integrated into your game? Or are we ready to move on to the next segment?
One quick thing, JP earlier posted that no AI will ever be able to think the way you think. You can never train it with the wealth of your knowledge or experience and intuition. Yeah, that's never going to be exactly as you, but you can train it to provide you with options within what you're normally used to. So you're right, but it still gives you like a second brain to work with.
I don't use it during games, but exactly what you said is one of the things. So I use it for my live streams, and I use it for, so like even the questions for today, I come up with a topic, I come up with the questions I want to ask. I run them by a couple of coworkers, and then I plug it into ChatGPT to see if there's anything I missed. So I use it even for what we're doing here, and it has helped out. Does it usually change anything I'm asking? Not by a lot, but it might reword something in a way I was like, that actually does make more sense, So there are tools, so I can see it for exactly what you're saying. Like, oh, that's a great idea that I didn't even think about, and then having the game master still using his own brain to figure out how to implement that into the game. So,
and if you want AI to run a game, play a video game.
All right, let's see what chat I start here. I just want to remind folks, if we make $100 in segments 1 through 4, there will be a $250 gift card giveaway either to Palladium Books or Drive-Thru RPG. And somebody please mute. We've gotten procedurally generated AI dungeons would be a neat tool. Oh, I guess if you're into dungeon crawls, yeah, okay. You know what? I'll give that to you if you're into dungeon crawls. I am one of those people. I guess there's some Twitter thing going on or something where people are complaining about this. I am one of those people where the dungeon has to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, it's clown shoes. And not, hold on.
Go ahead. Explain this.
Clown shoes doesn't just mean it's bad and I hate it and everything's wrong. It just means it's gonzo. I don't like gonzo stuff. I don't like crazy stuff. So to me, I want a little more thought put into it than some random like, oh, this way is that and this way is that. How the hell did the Hydra get down here? Who cares? It's a Hydra in a dungeon. No, I can't get with that. My brain won't allow that. Go ahead, Malachi.
What's going on is it's the mythical underworld. That's what we're talking about. That's what we prefer at the table. People are taking it as this is how you have to play. And the same people that are pro mythic underworld are not gonzo.
I don't know what everything you said there made no sense to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
The basic expert hit it on the head this morning. He released a short where he showed the very classic image of a paladin in like facing off against the forces of the underworld, where there was a demon, a devil, there was an ettercap, there was the monster.
The hell's a demon and a devil doing in the same room together, not killing each other?
That's part of the aesthetic of the original version of the game. Like
that's dumb. Well, the original version of the game is proto gaming, and it's dumb.
Proto gaming.
Maybe they have Maybe they worked out an agreement.
I don't know. Like Anyway,
Miami,
this
my
doesn't
friend.
seem super germane to segment 2, based on my recalling of the of what the
No.
segment
I'm not trying to drag up something else.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that was on the gilded server over there. But my point is just that I know it's been a topic recently. I'm just saying that me personally, I'd be very like that dungeon AI dungeon. All of a sudden, I don't know. In this room, we've got a bunch of orcs. In this room, you have a dragon. Why didn't it eat the orcs and take the crap?
We can come back to this in segment 5.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one to talk about, because there is overlap with what someone might consider Gonzo versus what someone might consider like a really well curated random table, especially if an AI is going to be rolling on that.
That's the key.
All I was trying to say is that me personally, I need things a little more curated than that. I'm not telling anybody that how they're playing the game is wrong. If you like Gonzo, go do your Gonzo. No. Have fun with it. And Malachi, stop arguing with me. I'm right in this one. And
if I want to come back to segment 5, I'm going to explain this.
Okay, you can explain it. It's like people trying to explain one time. Just because you like it doesn't mean it's good. All right, we're moving on now. A Nerds Nerd says, but I can't imagine wanting a purely AI DM or player. It's a social game. Why would you remove the humans? Well, that's what most people who are stuck in their basements and closets want. They don't want human interaction. I said it.
I'm curious if the people that like playing solo games are going to welcome solo DMs, because I play Rangers of Shadow Deep, which is a solo war game for when I can't get my wife to play Frostgrave with me. It's the same game. It's just a solo adventure game with like scripted NPC moves. I'm really curious if there's a market for solo gamers that want to play with an AI DM that just maybe doesn't make vast decisions, like it doesn't create speech prompts or puzzles, but just helps facilitate the use of the rules as they pertain to how NPCs operate in battle or some such.
Yeah, they were called the Muds back in the day when we were started video gaming.
Yeah, so I get a little pedantic about these terms, and I agree with Violence here. Solo games are not RPGs. They're choose-your-own-adventure books. And I'm totally for, hey, I love choose-your-own-adventure books. I've actually done a couple of solo games. Four Against Darkness is the one I remember. So I think they're great for people sitting around. Again, no electricity, you want to do something, or you just want to see what happens as you're going through that little randomized dungeon there. I'm totally for that stuff. I draw the line at people calling them role-playing games. Like, they're not role-playing games. But I think even Patty, you said that it was just a solo adventure game, right?
Yeah, the Rangers of Shadow Deep, it is, what you could say is, if I can be pedantic here for a second, it's funny that there are people out there who say there's no one true way to play RPGs, but then they make snide comments about people who want to play RPGs solo. I feel like you gotta pick and choose your terminology here, and that's what
I would look at that as lines in the sand. It's like everybody's got a different line in the sand as far as what's acceptable at the table or whatever. And for me, just personally, I don't look. I want people to play these games, but I don't call a choose your own adventure book that I have back there an RPG. I never. It's not a role playing game. That's a choose your own adventure book, even if it has role playing elements in it. That's how I look at the solo RPG as well. Now that could be a little different than just the DM-less RPG, where it's like, you know what. I need something to facilitate the game master's side of it, so to speak. As long as it can, but here's where the limitation is. In a real role-playing game, I can come up with off-the-wall crap. Okay, I want to unscrew the door from the hinges or take the hinges off. I want to put it over my head and run through and charge and hit the goblins. Where for whatever you're like, why the hell would you want to do that? But you as a human game master in a role-playing game looks at it and says, oh, okay, well, this is the result of that. Here's the penalties, here's the bonuses, yada, yada, yada. Where the computer goes, tilt, not in my options, can't do that, So I guess that's kind of my point. In a role-playing game, even if I don't like excessive imagination, it allows for excessive imagination. Where the Choose Your Own Adventure book gives you 3 options and turn to page 41.
Right. Yeah, that's not solo gaming.
That is solo gaming.
No. But,
it's not a solo role-playing game, but
that's
still.
I guess the option was
You need a
if you're willing to
GM
accept
emulator.
the fact that you can play a game with an AI DM,
Mhm.
right? Would you consider playing with an AI DM a DM-less game?
I think that would depend on how good the AI is. If the
Okay.
AI can convince me that there's a person, not a computer that keeps going tilt, 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 then I would probably argue that it is not a GM-less game.
So
Whether I
then,
liked it or not is a different story. But I would at least say I have an AI GM.
I'm not happy with it, but I do. But I don't know. I think one of the reasons why I got really heavily into wargaming is, as much as I like the social aspect of like role-playing games and being able to play like crunchy rule war games, is I wasn't always fortunate to have players available to play with. By playing a war game, I was able to like con my wife, who went along consensually, by the way. She has
better
her own
wife than me. I mean,
minis.
what?
Yeah, she has her own painted minis on the shelf. I don't think you paint as well as she did if she didn't want to do so, on her own accord. But it was a lot easier to say, oh yeah, let's play War Machine for the night instead of like trying to get people over to the house and play Gamma World, which I was super into at the time, still am. And I don't know. I think there's something to be had there. What I'd be more worried about is you talking to this AI DM or an AI player and then not knowing it. And my only context there is there's already a lot of Twitter artists that will use AI to make the art through and through, and they'll claim, "Oh no, I made this," and then when you point out obvious AI tells, then they're like, "Well, I learned how to prompt," and I'm just like, okay, so you didn't make that art. It'd be interesting, especially with paid DMs. All of a sudden, Patty's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm a paid DM," and then somebody says, "Oh, I was in this game last night with Patty," and then they're like, "You weren't in the game that I was playing last night with Patty." "Oh, I had an AI DM that was based off of my responses. I plugged in one of my adventure modules into it, and it's the same. I wrote the adventure module. That means I DM'd it." That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I agree with the word interesting, and I mean that in the Minnesota sense of the word, which is like, oh, hey, that's interesting, which pretty much means retarded.
Yeah.
but again, we're talking about the future, and we do need to go into segment 2 here, but that's part of going into the future. We can almost be assured that this stuff is going to happen, or at least it's going to be tried. It's going to be interesting to see what the result of them. And then, is it going to break the hobby? No, I didn't mean that right. Is it going to split the hobby yet again? Like people like, I only play in person, I play online. I only play 5e, I play everything but 5e. We have all these different little factions. Like, well, I'll only play with an AI DM because it's the only thing I can trust. Well, I'm only going to play with people. Is that going to be the future? Like, well, I don't mind if I have 3 AI players at my table because it makes a full party, and I only have 2 friends in real life that I can get together with. So that's what we're going to do. Like, do we argue with those people and say you shouldn't play the game? Yes. Or do we sit there and say, you know what, as long as you're playing and having fun, you're having a good time, cop-out answer. Obviously, where I land on that one, but at the same time, I don't want to tell people how to play at their own table, if that makes sense. So, all right, let's go, let me finish up segment 1 here, and then we'll go into segment 2. This segment went a little bit longer than it should have, but that's okay. I think it was a good discussion. I hope these guys enjoyed it as well. I already read the super chats. The next segment is going to be trends in game design that we've either seen or maybe have written, depending on who I ask the question to. But the super chats, and there we go. If you want to join, if you think you have some presence and charisma, the ability to entertain and educate people, a good AV setup, free from noise pollution. We'll work on that today. And an interest in discussing tabletop RPGs in this format, join the Some Rando RPG livestream Discord. Link is in the description. Stay tuned to future topics. Help us get to know you. And maybe we'll get you on the show to talk about your experiences as well. Side note here for the folks on the live stream, I've got more and more people complaining that I only do this off of Discord now. I'm not doing it from email or Twitter DMs and special ways to get a hold of people. And look, I'm actually getting a bunch of interest in the show, and I can't send things out 15 different ways to 15 different people, however they want to commit. Just join the Discord and pay attention to it. Please, that's the best way if you want to be, and don't yell at me if you didn't get to be on the show that you thought would be great for you because I didn't tell you about it. It's there. And with that, if you enjoyed this discussion, please like the video and subscribe to all of the panelists' channels, which you can find in the description.